These Mahi Mahi tacos with a mango salsa and chipotle mayo are absolutely delicious and packed with flavor. There's a lot of steps to complete, so let's get started. We're going to start with our mango salsa. I am slicing this nice and juicy mango directly on the shell. Check out my reel for how to select a juicy mango so you can get the ripest ones possible. I am cutting slits into this mango and I'm going to pull back the skin and look at all that delicious fruit. I really want to take a bite, but I got to get this salsa together. You're simply going to take your knife and go up and down the mango skin. You're going to get different size pieces of mango, but it's okay. It's going to add a nice texture to this salsa. We're not really concerned about all the pieces being the same. We just want to make sure we get as much of the mango off the skin as possible. Make sure you are watching your fingers as you're cutting. I found this to be the easiest way to cut the mango, but you can also set this down on a cutting board and cut it off. It looks like we got all the mango off. Now it's time for our next ingredient, and it's this beautiful creamy avocado. We're going to cut this open and look inside. That is gorgeous. We're only going to use 1/2 of an avocado, and I'm going to cut the same way as I did the mango. This is going to ensure that the shapes are similar and it's going to make the salsa easier to eat. So I'm cutting horizontal and vertical slices in the mango, and then I'm going to take my spoon and go around and get all those beautiful creamy pieces of the avocado out, and then we're going to put that in the bowl. So right now it's already looking beautiful. Look at those colors. We cook with the rainbow. Now I'm going to slice approximately 1/4 of a red onion. I'm going to slice this in really thin slits, not dice it. We're only going to use 1/4 of a red onion because red onion is pretty powerful and we don't want it to overpower the salsa, but this is going to add a nice contrast to the sweetness of the mango, and it adds a gorgeous color. Look at that. Now it's time to add just a little bit of spice to this salsa. I am using 1/2 of a jalapeno. I am going to remove the seeds. If you want the seeds in there, it's going to make it more spicy. Now, an easy way to remove the seeds is to take a spoon and go right down the middle, and look at that. The seeds are gone. I am going to actually dice this jalapeno because I want the pieces to be nice and small. I don't want to bite on huge pieces of jalapeno. I don't think that's very tasty. So we're going to dice this in a really fine dice. And look at that beautiful color. We eat with our eyes first. So this is going to add a beautiful color to our salsa. And also it's going to add a really nice texture. And it's going to add a little bit of punch. If you want this to be even hotter, keep the seeds in. And that is going to ensure that your mango salsa is a little spicy. Now it's time to add the acid, and I am adding the juice of 1 whole lime. Here is a method that I learned. I just squeeze it and then I'm going to squeeze in like a twisting motion. Take your hand and twist the lime, and that is going to get every bit of juice out of the lime. We're using 1 whole lime here. The lime is going to add a pop of freshness and it's going to be absolutely delicious. It's time to season. I'm just seasoning this really simply with some salt. That's it. And last but not least, it's time for the cilantro. I am cutting these in really, really, really thin slits. So you just take it, put it in a nice tight ball, and just run your knife up and down, and you'll get these really nice slits. I'm not going to chop it any more than this. I'm going to add that to the bowl. And look at this. It's already looking absolutely delicious. It smells wonderful. This salsa is going to be wonderful on those tacos. And as always, you have to taste your food. So I'm going to taste it to make sure everything is on point, and it is. That's going to be cooling in the refrigerator. Let's get started on this slaw. I've taken the core out of 1/4 head of cabbage, and I'm going to slice this right down the middle because I want the cabbage to be nice and small. Then I'm going to run my knife straight down, slicing really thin slits. We want this to be a nice texture. We want the pieces small enough so it's easy to eat. Once I've sliced it all up, I wash my cabbage. This is kind of debatable. I wash my cabbage. So I'm removing any big pieces that remain and I'm putting it in my strainer and I am going to wash my cabbage. As my cabbage is drying, I am slicing 1/2 of a white onion and I am slicing this in a similar shape as the cabbage. This is going to make the cabbage easier to eat. So you don't want to dice these onions. You want really nice slivers, and it's time to put this all together. So I have my washed and drained cabbage. I am going to add these really nicely thin sliced onions for some texture. And then guess what? All we have to do now is season this up. I'm going to make sure I get all the onions on there. And now I'm going to use the juice of 1 whole lemon. Now I am going to use my lemon juicer for this to make sure I get all the juice out. This lemon is going to be amazing in this slaw. So as you can see, we're using citrus fruits in every aspect of this. We put some lime in our salsa. Now we're using lemon in our slaw. All of these flavors are going to go very, very well together. Now we're going to season this with some salt. All right, a nice generous amount of salt. We're going to put some garlic powder in this slaw. Yes, it's going to be delicious. And some black pepper. We're also going to use some apple cider vinegar because we all know that vinegar goes really well with cabbage. I feel like they go hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly. It's vinegar and cabbage. And we're also going to put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil to bring this all together and dress the cabbage really nicely. And all we have to do now is just mix everything together. And this is our slaw. We want to continue to mix until everything is evenly coated and the cabbage is looking nice and bright and shiny. And I'm going to taste this to make sure the seasonings are on point. And of course they are. And we're going to put this in the refrigerator and let this cool. Now it's time for the Chipotle Mayo. I have a can of chipotle peppers and they are currently in an adobe sauce. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take some of that sauce that the peppers were in. I'm going to put that in the mayo. Ooh, it's going to be delicious. I'm going to take 1 pepper and I am going to cut this down. I am cutting the end off, but I am not removing the seeds. These peppers are already grilled and cooked, so I don't need to remove the seeds. I'm going to break this down in as small as pieces as possible. This is going to add a really nice texture to the mayo and it's going to add some really nice heat. I'm going to just spoon all of the pepper into the mayo. If you want it more spicy or with a little bit more chipotle flavor, you can add 2. And of course, we're going to put a little bit of acid in here. This is going to thin the mayo out. But before I do, I'm going to add some chipotle seasoning. We want this to be heavily chipotle flavored. I'm going to add the juice of 1 lime. This is going to brighten it up so it won't seem real heavy. And it's also going to thin the mayo out so it's nice and spoonable. I'm going to squeeze all the juice out of this lime. I'm not playing. I'm getting every bit out. And I'm just going to mix this all together until everything is evenly mixed. This chipotle mayo is going to taste amazing with all the other toppings for our tacos. After everything is all the way mixed, you know what I'm going to say. You have to do a taste test. Taste your food. And this is delicious. This is going to go into the refrigerator with our other toppings. And now let's get started on the fish. I have 2 fillets of mahi mahi that I have cut into 8 pieces. And now I'm going to generously season these with some salt. This is pepper. I keep one of my hands open to stir the meat or toss the meat and the other one for seasoning. I'm going to add some garlic powder. I'm going to also add some cumin. That's going to add some smokiness to this fish, and I am constantly turning it in the seasonings. I want to make sure every inch is covered. I'm also going to go in with some sazon. I'm going to continue to turn them, make sure everything is covered, and then I'm going to go in with some paprika. This is going to add a gorgeous color to the fish. Trust me, go ahead, use that paprika. Look at that. Look at that. That's deliciousness right there. It is time to go cook these up. Your fish needs to look like this. To a hot skillet, I am adding 2 to 3 tablespoons of avocado oil. I want to make sure that every inch of the pan is covered. My heat is on like a medium high. We're not going to cook these very long. These are going to cook for maybe a minute and a half at most. I'm going to put all the fish in here. Make sure that your pan is not crowded. If you're cooking for more than 2 people, because this is for 2 people, then you're going to need a bigger pan or cook in different sections. I am going to turn these. These have literally been cooking for about 45 seconds. I'm going to turn them over, and as you can see, they are nice and brown. You want your heat high enough to fry the fish and cook it, but you don't want it to burn. You want this to cook at a really nice pace. After this side has cooked for about another 30 to 45 seconds, it doesn't take that long. I'm telling you, you do not want your fish to be overcooked. I have removed the skillet from the burner, and now I am gently shaking any excess oil off, and I'm going to allow my fish to rest. Totally, I cooked this fish for about 1 minute and a half, and it's going to continue to cook as it sits. But look at that. Look at that beautiful golden color. Look how juicy it is. It's glistening. Now all I have to do is cook the tortillas. I am using corn tortillas, and I'm placing them directly on the burner. You only have to cook these for a couple of seconds. You want them nice and toasted, but you don't want them crunchy because they need to be able to fold. Once you see that little bubble, once you see it raise like that, that means that it's done. I'm going to turn it over for like 1 second more to get a nice color on that tortilla, and it's time to plate. I am going to serve 3 tacos with a side of Spanish rice. You see the rice there, and also with a lemon. I am taking my 3 tortillas that are nice and hot and pliable that I just heated up, and I am going to put 1 piece of fish on each taco. You see how juicy this fish is? It's nice and juicy. So I'm going to put 1 piece of fish. Feel free to add more if you want, but the tacos are so small, I really can't hold that much. Now it's time to load it up with our slaw. As the slaw has been sitting in the refrigerator, you notice that it has softened up and it's perfect to be on top of these tacos. Wonderful. Now it's time to go in with that delicious mango salsa. This is going to add a nice sweetness, and it's going to contrast with the spices on the fish, and it's going to add a really nice texture as well. Everything is looking delicious. And look how beautiful these tacos are looking. Look at all this color. Really nice and bright. Now it's time to go in with that Chipotle mayo. Ooh, y'all don't even know about this, but I just put y'all on the game. We are going to spoon a nice helping of that Chipotle mayo right on top. This is going to add that nice coolness that we love in tacos. It's also going to add a beautiful smokiness. After all the tacos are topped with the mayo, there's only one thing left to do. Bon appetit. Let's eat.